Great job, worship team. Thank you very much for that. Tell you that "It Is Well" is probably one of my favorite hymns. I want that one sung at my funeral, hopefully later in life. But interesting way to start off the message this morning. But man, it is well, right? Just to know that Christ just can give us comfort in that. We live in a day and age now that we can see and predict and know when to get our umbrellas ready, right? We got rain today. This is exciting, and we have this opportunity to see when rain is coming and to be prepared for it, right? We got this technology and these apps to let us know that, hey, rain is coming, and it might be a little windy, it might be a little bit this, a little bit that, but we can predict and see, for the most part, rain is coming, and storms could be on the horizon or coming in the next day or two, even like 10 days out sometimes. We lived in Texas for several years as well. A lot more tornadoes are in Texas and Oklahoma area, and they're fine-tuning even tornado warnings and different ways that you can be prepared for tornadoes to kind of come. You still can't predict exactly the route it's going to take, but you can prepare ahead quite a bit for storms. Wouldn't it be nice if we could predict and know when an emotional or mental is coming? Wouldn't that be amazing? If we could have this app that we could pull out and it says, hey, in about 3 days, you're going to go through craziness. In about 10 days out, it's going to get really, really scary. Man, wouldn't that be nice? To be able to have that, to be able to help us navigate and to get ready as much as we could for a storm in life that would be coming our direction. But we don't have that, do we? We can't predict when things are going to come into our world, into our life, that's just going to completely throw us in a tizzy or completely just almost maybe even paralyze us potentially. The disciples in our story that we're going to be looking at today in John is a moment that they enter into a storm, and they are trained fishermen, sailors, boat people. They, had their tools or whatever, but they got thrown into this moment that was just crazy. They weren't expecting it either. In fact, John chapter 6, verses 16 through 24 is where we're going to be today. This same story is also found in Matthew chapter 14, and it's also found in Mark chapter 6. The Gospels oftentimes will share some of the same stories, same passages, same moments of Jesus. John's rendition, John's version of this is simply that we may believe that Jesus is God. And he's going to give us some different things that we've seen that kind of helps us to know, oh, wow. Jesus did that. Wow, yeah, he's God. And give us these moments to believe. And the story may be a familiar one, and there may be even some moments as we read through John, like, well, didn't this happen? And didn't that happen also? Well, that's where the Gospels kind of help us fill in the whole story. Right, there's some, if you go back and you read Matthew's version of it, Matthew kind of fills in a little bit more, and Mark talks a little bit more. But we're going to be in John, and really in just 9 verses this morning, really get some truths that can kind of help us navigate maybe the storms that are coming, or possibly even the storm that you're in right now. Right, in a room this size, I can't sit here and say, oh yeah, a storm is coming for all of us. We know that. But in reality, there may be some of us in the room right now sitting in the middle of a crazy, crazy storm. John chapter 6 is where we're going to be, verses 16 through 24. If you have it, your John journal, whatever, it's also going to be here on the screen. This is where we are. When evening came, his disciples went down to the sea, got into a boat, and started across the sea to Capernaum. It was now dark, and Jesus had not yet come to them. The sea became rough because a strong wind was blowing. When they had rowed about 3 or 4 miles, they saw Jesus walking on the sea and coming near the boat, and they were frightened. But he said to them, "It is I, do not be afraid." Then they were glad to take him into the boat, and immediately the boat was at the land to which they were going. On the next day, the crowd that remained on the other side of the sea saw that there had been only one boat there, and that Jesus had not entered the boat with his disciples, but that his disciples had gone away alone. Other boats from Tiberias came near the place where they had eaten the bread after the Lord had given thanks. So when the crowd saw that Jesus was not there, nor his disciples, they themselves got into the boats and went to Capernaum seeking Jesus. Lord, as we look at this text this morning, God, I pray that no one hears me this morning, but hears you, that we can encounter your glory this morning and see from this passage how you can guide us and help us to have belief in our storm. In your name we pray. Let me set up the context here for us this morning. Jesus, last week we saw in the end of John chapter 5, fed a lot of people with a little bit of bread and a couple fish. Right, John, you brought this message yesterday of just this miracle that he was able to provide food for an entire crowd, 5,000 plus people. And it was all there, and in this moment of this great miracle of food and supplication, all this kind of stuff that people were seeing like that, wow, all right, this Jesus is pretty amazing, it's pretty special. This is our king, this is our ruler, this is our Messiah, this is the one who's coming. We want to make him now ruler of everything. And Jesus sensed that, and he kind of just faded off into the background, up onto the mountaintop to spend time with his Father and just to kind of step away. He had kind of given word to his disciples, we're going to be heading to Capernaum, so get things ready, and that's where we're going to go next. And so if you see the map up here, the Sea of Galilee, Tiberias is where they were, and they were headed to Capernaum. Capernaum is about 7 miles from Tiberias by boat. So the fishermen that some of the disciples were and understood the boat and different type stuff didn't have necessarily weather apps, but I'm sure they scanned the horizon and kind of looking and seeing and said, all right, let's pack up our stuff and let's head towards Capernaum. We're going to go get ready, and I'm sure Jesus is going to get another boat later, but we're going to go on ahead and head towards Capernaum. And lo and behold, a wind came up, a strong wind, so much that it made the seas completely rough. And this storm enveloped, and it was dark. It was this crazy moment that they were probably caught off guard by how quickly this storm had kind of rolled in, and here they were. And they're about to navigate the best that they can to get through this, to be able to go to Capernaum. We're going to look at a couple of truths this morning about storms. The first one is this: storms reveal our human limitations. Storms can reveal our human limitations. When evening came, his disciples went down to the sea, got into a boat, and started across the sea to Capernaum. It was now dark, and Jesus had not yet come to them. The sea became rough because a strong wind was blowing when they had rowed about 3 or 4 miles. So they are rowing and rowing and rowing, and they're about halfway through their journey in the middle of the sea of where they are, and it's getting crazy. And they are experienced fishermen. They've been in storms before. It's not like this is the first time they've ever been in a storm. But somehow John is letting us know, all right, this one was really, really rough. And they were rowing with all their might. The sails, I'm sure, weren't even being effective at that time. And they were just doing everything that they could to try to get to where they were going. And it wasn't going well. And it was dark. I can relate somewhat to what they were going through physically. A couple years ago, maybe about 4 or 5 years ago, I did this triathlon race that was called Escape from Alcatraz Triathlon. I've had this fascination with Alcatraz Island for years. The history of it and all that kind of stuff. Watched all the Alcatraz movies and all that kind of stuff. And I thought, man, I would love to go to Alcatraz someday. And, look at that. There's a triathlon going on there, too. I'm going to go do that. And this race is so crazy and so dangerous, they build out. One of the most dangerous triathlons out there, because what you do is you ride this ferry boat out to Alcatraz Island, and you jump off the ferry boat in freezing cold Pacific shark-infested waters, and you swim to shore. It's about a 2.5-mile swim to shore. And you get out and then you bike in San Francisco hills. If you've ever been in San Francisco, it's very hilly as well. And then you have this 8-mile run that you've got to do. Man, I was so excited. This was going to be amazing. And you have to enter into the lottery to do this race. Not everyone can just go in. And so I entered into the lottery and I got in. Oh, I was so excited. It was amazing. And here I am. I'm ready to go and I've been training, getting ready. And the race is scheduled for August. And I'm so excited, and then COVID hit, and they canceled the race. I was like, oh, man, that would have been amazing. And the email I got is, right, the race has been canceled. We can refund your money, or you can be automatically entered into next year's race. Sign me up. I'm in next year. I get a whole nother year to train? Yes. So got another year to train. Comes up again in August. I get this other email. Alcatraz race, because COVID is still around in California. Won't go there. The race is canceled again. However, we're going to postpone the race to April. You can get your money back, or you can try again next year in August, or you can just come in April. I said, sign me up. I'm coming. Let's do it. And so I would go to do the race. In all my training, not just physically training, I've been swimming, I've been biking, I've been running. This is a challenging race. The swim part is when you jump off the ferry boat, you're supposed to look to shore, and there are these 3 big apartment-type buildings that you sight for, right? So you got your goggles on, you're swimming, you kind of put your head up, and you sight for those buildings, and you swim towards those buildings there. Because what happens is the current is so very strong, you jump off the boat here at the island, but you actually get out on shore like way over here. And so if you sight for that building that's right there, those buildings, you go here, the current's going to naturally just take you as you're swimming so you can get out to where you're supposed to get out. If you swim angling towards where you're going to get out, the current's so strong it'll take you all the way out. You might end up in Hawaii. Who knows? So I got this in my mind, and I know, and I understand, and I've been practicing and getting myself ready, and this amazingness, and the day comes on, it's amazing, and I'm on the boat, and it's just the adrenaline's building, and I've got my wetsuit on, I'm ready to jump in this cold water and swim with sharks, and it's just going to be amazing, right? And so jump in the boat, and I start swimming, and I'm sighting, and I see those buildings, and I'm swimming, and I'm sighting, and I still see those buildings. And I'm swimming, and I'm sighting, and I still see those buildings. And in my mind, it's going to take me, hopefully, I've been training about 40 minutes or so to get 2.5 miles. And so I'm swimming, and I'm sighting, and I still see those buildings. I'm not going anywhere. I feel like I'm on a swimming treadmill. Like I am literally just going in place. Nothing is happening. And I'm like looking at my watch, and I'm already 30 minutes in, and I feel like I'm still in the exact same spot. And I thought, oh, this is not good. I've been training for this. This is not good. My dad and my brother had come to San Francisco with me that weekend. They were hanging out. I'm sure they're like wondering what's going on. I'm sure they're probably seeing other swimmers get out, and Philip's still out there, and I'm still swimming. And there's kayakers and rescue boaters and all kinds of stuff around. But I think, I don't need them. I've been training for this, and I'm swimming, and I still see the buildings. Like this isn't good at all. I think I'm going to die. I think this is it. It's all over. I'm sure my dad and brother are getting their phones out ready to call Felicia. So sorry. He didn't make the swim. But I'm kind of going through, and all of a sudden this rescue kayaker comes up. He says, hey, are you doing all right? And I said, no, I'm not doing all right. Do you want to hang on for a little bit? Yeah, sure. And so I kind of hung on for a little bit, and I still see this building like way over there. I was like, goodness gracious. He said, hey, you got this. He said, do you want me to tow you in to shore? For this race and this race only, if you wanted to as a swimmer, you would be allowed to get a tow into shore and not be penalized and still say you've done the race and it's all got good stuff, right? And so he says, do you want to be pulled into shore? I'm thinking, I could be towed into shore, and in my mind, I would be cheating. I wouldn't finish the race. I really want to be able to do this on my own with my own strength and everything like that. I really want to be able to do that. No, sir, I'm good, but thanks for the rest. Let's go. And then he said, all right, good luck. And I go back in and start swimming. It took me an hour and 20 minutes to get to where I was supposed to go. It was miserable. It was awful. I was trying with all my mind. I get what these disciples were rowing and rowing and rowing. And trust me, that Bible story came to mind. All this stuff came to mind. Like, Jesus, can you just help me get out of this? Like, come on, I need some rescue, something. Please get me to the end there. So I finally get to the end of the swim. I get on the bike. I think I had one of my fastest bike times ever because I was so angry, so upset, so mad. I'm just like that. And I get to my dad and my brother afterwards and say, they go, are you all right? What happened out there? I said, I don't know. But man, that was miserable. I never want to do that race again. This is awful. And he said, well, we did notice a lot of the other swimmers were coming out in front of you were really exhausted. And even the professional, the guy who won the race, finished 14 minutes slower than he did last year because of the swim. I said, oh, well, now you tell me, thanks. Appreciate that. What had happened was because they had taken the race, they moved it, right? In August, when they're telling you to swim and this type of stuff, the current is going this way. Because the race in April changed the ocean current, it was actually going this way. So I was swimming literally upstream for 2.5 miles. Oh, I was so upset. I want to do that race again. Going the right way. Surely I could do better this time. But it got me thinking, man, I was just swimming. I was trying with all my might, with everything I could, and I wasn't getting anywhere. What's your Alcatraz? Is there something in your life, a storm in your life, or something in your life that you are trying your best? You are rowing your boat, you're swimming, and you're just not getting anywhere. You're in this storm. It's crazy. You see maybe some other people around, but they're kind of on their own, and yet we're trying to do it on our own, right? And sometimes, right, if we're in a storm, we might be prepared, and the storm is this way, but then it gets really big, and we're like, oh, I got this. I'm going to weather this storm on my own. And in fact, we turn from something like this, and we may even do a little bit more of our own, and we're like, oh, storm, I got this storm. I'm going bigger. I'm using some more of my own resources and more of this and that type of stuff, and I'm going to be even better protected. But we know what happens, doesn't it? The wind catches, and even this doesn't do anything. Because storms reveal to us that we are limited as humans. We can't navigate the storms on our own. Friends, you can't navigate the emotional or the mental or whatever storm you're going through. You cannot do it on your own. You just can't. We've not been created to weather every single storm in our lives. God allows storms to come in our lives. Jesus probably knew, because he's Jesus, knew there was a storm brewing on the horizon. He sent his disciples on, and they got going, and I think, all right, wait a second. We're in the middle of this. We know what we're doing, but we just can't make any headway. We're limited. We can't do anything. Here's a good truth. Storms remind us that our strength, wisdom, and experience are not enough. What we know, what we've experienced, what we understand, it's not enough to get through our storms. 2 Corinthians 12:9, my grace is sufficient for you, for my power is made perfect in weakness. Which brings us to our next point. Storms not only reveal our human limitations, but storms reveal the presence of Jesus. When they had rowed about 3 or 4 miles, they saw Jesus walking on the sea and coming near the boat, and they were frightened. They're in there, and it's dark, and it's crazy, and the wind is there, and they've been rowing, and they're not going anywhere, and then all of a sudden they see this man walking in the dark on the way to them. They can kind of make it out, and then they were frightened. I would be frightened too, right? And it's like, or we're trying. They, whoa, what is that out there? Oh my goodness. And who knows if they were in this part beforehand, I'm thinking, all right, Jesus, where are you? You got to help me in this. I'm in this alone. I'm in this all type of stuff, and I'm trying to do the best that I can. Can I get any help out there? Is there a lifeboat? Is there somebody out here? Is there anybody that can help me? And in the darkness comes light. And the darkness is coming, and Jesus says to them, "It is I, do not be afraid." That phrase, "it is I," in the Greek, it's ego eimi, which echoes the divine name I am that we heard God say to Moses. I am. Jesus is coming there. He's making himself known in the middle of the storm, in the middle of their journey. He sees that they're frightened, it's dark, and all Jesus does is just says, "Hey, it is I. I'm right here with you. Don't be afraid. I'm right here with you. It is I." Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, when they were in the fiery furnace, some scholars think that was a Christ-like figure, the fourth one in there, like in the fire with them. Jesus is with you in your storm. He may not seem like, we may think he's up still on the mountain, doing his own thing. He may still be up in heaven doing his own thing, whatever. But let me tell you, Jesus is with us. That's what Emmanuel means, God with us. Jesus is with us in the storm. He's right there. It's dark and all the type of stuff we may not see, we may not understand. Here's the truth. Christ often reveals himself most clearly in our darkest moments, doesn't he? When things are going great, right? When it's sunny outside and it's amazing, we're like, whoa, this is awesome. I don't need an umbrella. I don't need anything. Things are going well. Life is going great. This is wonderful. I'm doing really well. Look at this. And then God allows a storm to come in our lives to truly maybe test us, to see how are we navigating this? Are we trying it on our own and trying our own limitations and our own different type of stuff, and realizes, yeah. And for 3 or 4 miles, we may have been rowing. For 3 or 4 months, we may have been navigating this. For 3 or 4 years, we might have been trying to weather this. This long time, right? But Christ wants to let us know, hey, I see you in your darkest time. Let me tell you, I'm right here with you. Like, that's a truth that I think is just so exciting and maybe comforting to hear that, okay, in the midst of all this, I'm right here. It is I am. Isaiah 43:2, even in the Old Testament, it reminds us, when you pass through the waters, I will be with you. Storms reveal our human limitations. They reveal the presence of Jesus. But storms reveal the peace found in trusting Jesus. Then they were glad to take Jesus into the boat. I bet they were, weren't they? They were glad to take Jesus into the boat, and immediately the boat was at the land to which they were going. Like, listen to that for just a second. They're out there, and they've been in the middle of the night, and they've been rowing and rowing and rowing and trying to figure this out, and they see Jesus kind of walking and says, hey, it's me. And like, whoo, praise the Lord, Jesus, get in the boat now. And they get Jesus in the boat, and then, boom, the boat is immediately there. Now, that's pretty amazing, right? Man, I sure wish that kayaker was that. Like, here I am, bam, there you go. Whoa, I'm at the shore. That's amazing, right? Here's what's interesting about this moment. The storm, it doesn't say the storm stopped. It didn't say the storm went away. There's another story of Jesus in the boat, and he's there with his disciples, and the storm kind of comes up, and he's asleep, and they all get afraid and frightened, and Jesus just says, hey, storm, be quiet, cut it out, stop, peace. And all of a sudden it stops. We don't see that here. Jesus doesn't always stop our storms. We would love that, right? That would be the wonderful, most easiest thing to do. For Jesus just to get in the boat and all of a sudden the storm stopped and then, we're just cruising along in life again. How nice this is. Jesus hanging with me here in my boat. The skies are pretty. We're just kind of going along life. Isn't this amazing? But Jesus gets in the boat and gets them through the storm. And this thing pretty immediately. And wouldn't that be nice? Wouldn't it be nice to be able to go through a storm and, okay, Jesus, we see you don't always stop the storms, and this one's still going, but yet, can you get me through it quickly? Can you just speed time up and go, and then we're done? Jesus can do what Jesus does. this truth, right? That peace does not come from the storm stopping. Peace comes from Jesus being in the boat. Peace comes from Jesus being in the boat, that you've got to invite him in and say, okay, Jesus, I need you in this storm. And this storm may not end. It might, but it may not. But to know that we have Jesus with us in this moment, man, that's huge. Right? That's where this peace comes from, that you can weather the storm. You can make it through the storm. Because what we know is there's another storm coming. We've lived life long enough to know, don't we? All right, we're getting through the storm. Okay, this is great. This is wonderful. But we know there's another one coming. Psalm 46:1, God is our refuge and strength, a very present help in trouble. So there's the storm. The disciples get Jesus in, and Jesus takes the boat, whoop, immediately. It's done. And they're through the storm. They made it through it. How many times do we get through our storm like, whoo, man, that was, I got through that just amazing. Oh, that's goodness. Oh, that's wonderful. Well, using our storms, are we pointing people to Jesus? Do we point people to Jesus as we're going through and after we've come out of our storms? Because look what happens to the crowd. Verse 22, it picks up here, right? They go through the storm, and then it picks back up in verse 22 on the next day. The crowd that remained on the other side of the sea saw that there had been only one boat there, and that Jesus had not entered the boat with his disciples, but that his disciples had gone away alone. Other boats from Tiberias came near the place where they had eaten the bread after the Lord had given thanks. So when the crowd saw that Jesus was not there, nor his disciples, they themselves got into the boats and went to Capernaum seeking Jesus. Now here's what the crowd is doing. They knew there was a storm that had happened overnight, right? And they saw all these boats, and they're going to look at these boats. Well, there was one boat there, and we didn't see Jesus get into that. He's not there. And then other boats kind of came, and he's not in those boats. Like, well, where is Jesus? Oh, we know he's going to Capernaum, so let's just hop in the boat. Let's go. They're going to look for Jesus to get more bread, to get more fish, to get more food, to get more tangible type stuff. And what Dan's going to do for us next week is to look and say, all right, Jesus is saying, all right, guys, I'm not coming to be your king right now. I'm going to get you through storms. I'm going to provide your needs, but I'm going to give you this bread of life that is eternal. Something way bigger than that. I'm going to give you way more than an umbrella. I'm going to give you something that's going to get you through eternity. Right? And so as we're navigating our own storms and going through those things, we can point to umbrellas, but that's our own inventions, our own contraptions, right? That's our own things that we do. Or we can point people to Jesus, say, oh, let me tell you about Jesus. Let me tell you about my Jesus who got me through this storm. Let me tell you about my Jesus that's in with me in this storm right now. Because we may be in that storm. So as we look at our truths this morning and maybe ask ourselves some key questions, knowing that storms expose our weakness, they reveal Christ's presence, and they invite us to trust Jesus. What can we ask ourselves? So what, now what about? What do we do? Well, knowing that storms reveal to us, expose to us our weakness, here's a question for us. Am I relying on my own strength in my storm right now? Am I relying on my own strength? Am I just trying to swim the best that I can, the more that I know? I'm using my own wisdom, my own experience, whatever it is. Am I using everything that I know what I can do to get through my storm? Am I realizing, okay, I can't. No matter what I can think of, no matter what tool, whatever, I cannot because I am weak. And knowing that storms reveal Christ's presence, where might Jesus be showing his presence in my storm right now? Where might Jesus be walking towards us on water in our darkness, saying, I'm here. It's me. Don't be afraid. I got you. I'm here with you. I'm not far off. I'm watching. I'm here. It's me. Don't be afraid. And this last truth here that storms invite us to trust Jesus. Have I invited Jesus into my storm that I'm trying to navigate on my own? Am I inviting Jesus into my boat? Am I saying, all right, Jesus, I can't do this on my own. I need you to do this for me. I need you to get into my boat and get me through this. I need you to help me take my umbrella, if you will, put that aside, button it all up, and just say, okay, Jesus, I'm trusting in you. I need you in my boat. I need you to get me through this. And maybe you've been through a storm recently. It's a moment you can say, man, Jesus is amazing. Maybe you're in a storm right now, and this is the truth that you needed to hear. Like the disciples, okay, been rowing, been trying to do it on my own, but God, are you even here? Do you see me? Do you hear me? Do you get me? And Jesus is letting you know this morning, yeah, I'm right here. It's me. I'm right here. I'm present with you. Invite me into this. Let me carry this for you. Let me take this for you. He may not stop your storm. I don't know what he's going to do. There's some time that, wasn't an Alcatraz, but it's time our family going through a really difficult time. I remember just sitting there, okay, God, I don't know how to get through this. I don't know what to say. I don't know. I'm a counselor. Like I've got a master's degree in counselor, and I'm a pastor, and I'm a dad. I don't know how to get through this. And in that dark moment, Jesus said, yeah, I got you. I got you. That storm didn't go away overnight. He didn't get us in the boat all the way through. Whew, boy, man, thank goodness that's over with. He allowed us to kind of go through that step by step, that we would truly trust him, that he would carry us through it. And I tell you what, coming out of storms, we learn a lot about Jesus, don't we? Coming out of storms, we may learn a lot about ourselves. Coming out of storms, we may learn a lot about God's ordering his universe and different types of stuff to truly say, okay, God, thank you for that reminder. Thank you for getting me through this. And maybe it's a moment you can kind of walk along someone else. The worship team's going to come up right now. I'm going to encourage us just to stay seated. To stay seated in this moment. And I'm just going to ask you to have a moment with God as they're singing. You might be in a storm right now, like a really difficult, dark storm. And maybe you just need some encouragement. Maybe you need just the word of truth that's spoken here. Maybe it's the songs that's being sung right now. Maybe it's just a moment of just honestly turning to the person next to you. And you don't have to get into any detail. Just say, hey, would you pray for me right now? I'm in a storm. Maybe it is a moment you can come here at the altar and I'll be here, others will be here. I just need some prayer. I just need that reminder that Jesus, you're present. But man, I'd love just to have this truth and this understanding to know that it's going to be okay. Eternally, when we trust in Jesus, all the storms go away completely. When we ask Jesus to be a part of our lives personally, he promises us a place in heaven that, hey, if we trust in him, we truly believe that he sent his son Jesus to die on the cross for our sins. To say, hey, take all the storms, all the things that I may have done to myself, that things may have come to me, whatever it may be, God, I just give these over to you and you alone, you take them. And Jesus says, I got you. I got this storm, and I got the next 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 storm. And he's going to hold us through all of it. And there's going to be a moment that our storms on earth are going to be done. There will be no more. There's this place called heaven that Jesus said it's totally real. It's like amazing. It's calm. It's peaceful. It's in the presence of God, our Savior, and Jesus face to face. It is well with my soul. But we can have that peace even now. We can have that peace that we can go through a storm. It may not be easy. It may not be short, whatever it may be, but we can still have this peace with a relationship with Jesus in that. Maybe that's where you need to be, to have that moment. Again, I'm here. Others are here. The altar's here. There's others may around you. So this moment as the worship team is leading us, let's just sit. So this moment and encounter his glory. God, we come to you now as we sing to you. God, for some of us in the room, we're not in a storm at the moment. Life is going pretty well. The days are sunny. Our life is going great. God, would you just put upon a name on our heart, a name on our mind right now to lift up to you? God, they're going through a storm. Would you make yourself real and known to them? For others, God, in this room, they're in a storm. Maybe work-related, maybe marriage-related, maybe family-related, maybe personally related, maybe a relationship, whatever it is, God, that they're in a storm right now, and man, it's been rowing and rowing and rowing, and it seems like not getting anywhere. And so maybe this is a moment that we come to you personally and say, okay, God, I can't do this on my own. I need you. I need you more than anything out there. No paddle, no oar, no umbrella is going to get me through this, but it's just you alone. So God, as we sing this, we just give our lives to you. We give our storms to you this morning, Lord.